Plaintiff Louise Montoya says the defendant is her only aunt, but she's never been there for her, even after her mother died. Louise says she was only 12, struggling with her mother's death, and the defendant reported her as an out-of-control teen, and as a result, she was put into foster care. Louise is suing her aunt for auto repairs and emotional distress. Defendant Mary Gonzalez says Louise was always an out-of-control kid before her mother died. Mary insists she was there for Louise and even offered to let her live with her after her mother's death. And she's countersuing her today for unpaid auto repairs and emotional distress.
Tell me what happened.
First, Your Honor, I'd like to say Mary Gonzalez is my only aunt. She's really never been there for me.
Your parents around?
My brother died when I was 7. My mom died when I was 12. This is where it all started.
Who took care of you after that?
Well, my father. My father turned to alcohol really bad. So I pretty much took care of him, you know, cooked for him, cleaned for him, you know, so.
And did she try and help out, your aunt?
Actually, no, Your Honor. What happened was she kind of took advantage of us. She used to tell my dad, well, you owe me money for, you know, paying for my sister's funeral. And so my father used to get welfare for me and like food stamps. So, you know, he would give it to her. He was drunk all the time. So a lot of my family took advantage of that. And,
but you all stayed with him full time, your father?
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, up until my aunt, she had a social worker that was her friend. Mm-hmm. So like I would go hang out with friends at time, you know, I turned to marijuana and alcohol and, you know, partying and stuff. And she said that I was an out of control child. So they took me away. I was in foster care, you know, back and forth. I'd run away and, you know, go back home because my father needed me, you know, I mean, it was just hard. I just needed I needed a role model. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that. So,
plus you were reacting to the pain of the circumstances that you were in. That's probably a big part of it. Like a young man growing up without a father. So you act out, as you said, you as a young lady didn't have a role model. Young men don't have the type of structure or the type of role model that they need to become real young men. You want to respond?
First of all, she was a bad girl since she was with my sister. She was out of control. She said she'd go outside and she'd go out and she'd come in late.
Like what time?
Like 12. And she was small then, you know, but the neighbors.
Where would she go?
With the neighbors behind us where they lived.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Hold on.
And my
go over
sister,
to the neighbor's house.
Yeah. Well, she used to hang out with the neighbor boys, but they weren't always there. They were out causing trouble.
How old?
12.
When her mother died?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense that she would have a certain type of reaction.
No, her mom was already been dead when she was doing this.
Haven't we established that the primary reason for her acting out, at least I'm convinced, is that her mom died at age 12 and thereafter she acted out as a result of that pain and that void? You don't believe that to be the case?
Your Honor, anybody who knows Louise would say she was not with her mother when her mother was sick. She didn't want no part of her.
Let's move on, ma'am. What else do you want to say about your involvement with your niece?
I wanted her to come and stay with me.
Oh my God, that's not true, Your Honor.
When she went over, she says, I brought my stuff, and she put it in the living room. And I told her, you got to understand, you need guidance and support, and that's what I'm here for. You got to go out anywhere, get a job. Are you going to go out with some friends?
What age was this?
14.
Okay. And she refused to?
Yep. She refused everything. She went to my dad in Pueblo. Okay. And that's her
Yeah, that is not true. Can I?
Yeah, she went over there to live with him. I had talked to him on the phone, and I told him, your granddaughter's over there. And so he says, well, if she comes over here, then I'll talk to her. So
how long did she live with him?
2 days.
Oh my Your Honor, that is not true.
My dad got so mad.
Did she tell you why she didn't want to live with you?
Yeah, she didn't like the rules I had.
She didn't like your rules?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, that is not true.
She never offered?
Never.
Let's move on because you all aren't agreeing on the background, and I'm not confident that I can change your perspective here in these few minutes that we have. So let's get to the auto repairs that you're suing her about. What happened here?
Okay. First of all, in 2008, my husband got into an accident. We fell behind on our car insurance, so I couldn't go through the insurance. Well, we took it to a shop because we thought it was just an alignment. They told us that it was going to be a strut and the subframe, a lot of work that was like $800 to $1,000 in used parts. We didn't have that kind of money. Plus, they didn't have any openings for at least about a month. Mm-hmm. So what happened was, I ran into my auntie as I was picking up my daughter, and I had explained to her, what was going on with my car because she owns a body shop, and a mechanic. So I asked her, well, can you refer me to somebody? And she said, well, let me and my husband look at it. And he said, oh yeah, we have to get a new frame, a used frame and probably strut. And, so I asked him, well, how much will you charge me? And my aunt said $600. And before that, she owed me $350 from a previous accident I had like in 2000, 2001,
She
which
owed
I have
you
statements.
$350. All
Yes,
right.
they
And what
agreed.
happened? Well, first, let me ask, is that the agreement?
I gave her an estimate for $950.
And did you tell her you would
that's
deduct $350?
No, the thing that
She was to pay you $950 cash.
Right.
All right. And what happened?
Your Honor,
Let's
that's
see
not
what you
true.
have.
I have the
All right.
estimate right
Tell me
here,
what happened.
the written one.
Okay.
I had gave her $200 on within that day or the next day, and then I was supposed to pay her the extra $100. It says that she was to pull the.
Do you have an estimate?
Yeah, I got the same estimate, but because
Let me see it, please.
those were the payments, I put her on a
You
payment
just told me
plan.
it was $950. Here you say
Yeah.
$300. Do you have an estimate for $950?
Not with
Why?
me. Because that's the one that shows that she's making payments.
You said that you gave her an estimate of $950.
No, I
And
said
that
I gave
was
her
the
an
agreement.
estimate.
Pardon me?
I told you I gave her an estimate.
Yeah, of $950.
And we were, no,
Yeah.
I told her just like that. I didn't write it
No,
down.
let's talk about what you just told me. You just told me that you gave her an estimate of $950. Did you tell me that?
Yep.
Okay, but you handed me an estimate that says $300.
Because that was the only payments that she paid. And the other paper, I left it.
There was no other papers.
What do you
Your
say
Honor.
happened as a result?
There's
Okay.
nothing.
What was the result?
So, a couple of days pass, we get the car back, and later on we're driving it and we're hearing like this noise, and it kind of sounds like something's loose. It broke down like a few months later, and when I did take it to another shop, because I asked her in her thing, it says that she would fix it at no charge if anything was to happen with what they
What is
had
that
did.
you have in your hand?
Well, I have statements on, all of my stuff.
Do those statements reflect that the things
the car's broke? I have
Let
pictures.
me finish, because what you're saying isn't quite making sense. You said that for $300, she repairs your car. 2 months later, you had another problem. So what I need to do is see what the other mechanics told you the problem was and make sure it's the same problem.
No, not 2 months, Your Honor. A few months. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
So
I
it's
didn't
even
make
longer. It's
myself-
a few months.
Yeah.
Let me see the estimates of what was the problem a few months later.
Okay.
Because if it wasn't
This
the same
is
problem,
from that shop when it was July of 2008. That's what was wrong.
was it the same problem?
Yes, the same problem. When I gave her the car,
She has circled two things that she believes to be the same problem. It needed 1, a subframe, 2 struts, 1 sway bar, and 1 alignment.
Okay.
Aren't those the things you were to fix?
Nope. All I was supposed to do was put a control arm in there.
That's not what this says. That's
yes,
not what the estimate says, ma'am.
Yes, yeah, it does.
It doesn't. I'm looking right at it. It says the things I just mentioned. All right, ma'am. And you want the amount that it's going to cost to make the repairs that she was to make?
Yes.
All right.
This is who actually did the repairs,
Let's see that.
Resurrections. He has a statement saying that the car
And the
was
rest is
actually,
emotional distress for what?
my car was it was undrivable. So I have 3 children, and if I would have got, if it would have broke.
It could have caused you a problem, right?
Well,
But
yeah,
it
broke. It broke.
But it didn't harm
my kids
you.
weren't in
All
the
right,
car.
ma'am. I'm going to grant you the amount that it costs to repair it. And your counterclaim for $1,000 is for what?
For the rest of the remainder of the payment
Okay.
of the car,
Okay.
and for her causing me stress.
Her causing
She
you
was,
stress?
she would call everybody else but me. And I told him, if she calls anymore, just tell her bring the car to me.
She caused you stress by calling everybody else to get her car fixed?
Yeah, all my daughters. No, it was. I had to go to the doctor, and I've got pills for nerves, pills for everything.
Because of her calling about her car?
Yeah, her talking. Oh,
Are
don't
you
know
still
how
in
she
that
goes.
business?
Yes.
All right. That may not be the business for you.
No, it is.
If you have to go and get pills and become very ill when the customers call about their car, that might not be the business
No,
you should
I
be in.
wasn't working at this time. I had my phone. That's my husband's shop. Okay?
Ma'am,
she
let me
wasn't-
just stop you. If the only thing she was calling you about is the repair of her car, then I can't grant you emotional distress for that. I'm going to grant you once again the amount for your repairs, $1,995. That's it, ladies. Have a good day.
She smoked crack with me, and it was bad.
She's a liar. Everything she says is a lie. She's the child spawned from the devil.